Hi everyone, it's Sue from Sherpa Group. I thought I'd take a few minutes to walk you through some of the criteria around the work sharing program and provide a bit of an explanation about what it is. This program has existed for some time. It's been simplified for the COVID-19 situation. It is a great tool, but it's a little bit complex. So I'm going to try to walk you through it and hope I can answer your questions. If not, feel free to reach out to us for some consultation and help on that. You can also reach out to Service Canada directly. The advantage is you don't have to wait 2 hours on hold to speak to one of us. So, what is the work sharing program? Essentially, it's a way for employers to say, I need to reduce the amount of work, so I'm going to spread the work over a few employees instead of increasing the number of layoffs. And what I mean by that is, if there's enough work for one full-time person, but you actually have 3 full-time people in the job, you could use this program to actually reduce the hours of all 3 people. And through this program, yes, their wages are reduced somewhat, but nothing compared to what their wages would be reduced if it was an actual layoff. So that's the advantage of the program. It's sort of a give and take program. Employees have to agree to this. It can't be forced on them. But if everybody agrees, the whole ends up a lot better than any of the individuals. Yes, if you had 3 people and 2 were going to be laid off and 1 was going to stay, the one who was going to stay ends up a little bit worse because of this work sharing program, but the other 2 end up far ahead. So overall, the 3 people are treated better than they would be. If you look on the website, you'll see that this program is eligible for 52 weeks of coverage. It's actually been increased to 76 weeks. That's a COVID-19 change. The requirement is that the employee is to be returned to regular hours at that point. Obviously, if this situation goes on longer, there would be some leeway there, but the goal is that you return these people to work. It is not meant as a job elimination program. This program is unique in that employees have to agree to it. So it's a 3-part agreement. Service Canada, as long as you meet the criteria, you're going to get Service Canada's okay. The employer, if you are okay with the idea, that's your approval. And the employee, and each employee involved has to agree, or there can be no work sharing agreement. Now, if you had 4 employees in the job and you wanted to reduce the work and one of them disagreed, you could share the work across the other 3, and that 4th person may end up being laid off. That's something that you'd have to deal with. It is an option, but ideally everybody will agree, or it's very difficult to proceed. So, in order to be eligible, got to be a business in Canada, have to have been in business for at least 2 years. Business includes privately held companies and not-for-profits. This one does not list charities as eligible businesses. If you are a charity, I would call Service Canada to see if they're willing to make it fit. Under normal circumstances, you'd have to demonstrate that a shortage of work is temporary and beyond your control and has affected your business by at least 10%. The government recognizes that COVID-19 meets these 2 criteria. I had a great conversation with an agent at Service Canada and absolutely confirmed that this is what they have been told, is to approve anything. So if you are doing one of these applications, make sure you cite COVID-19 as the reason. You'd hope that they would assume that that's what it was in this day and age, but make sure that's on your paperwork just in case. Now, employees have to be eligible for regular employee insurance benefits. So 600 insurable hours, have paid EI premiums. If it's somebody you just hired or who just entered the workforce, they probably don't have enough hours. Self-employed people are not eligible for this program. It's people who would be entitled to normal EI benefits, not the specific benefits that the government has introduced for COVID-19. And they have to agree to a reduction in their hours of between 10 and 60%. We've talked about this again. The big thing here is that multiple employees who have agreed to participate. The other thing is you cannot have people who are necessary for the business's recovery. That one's going to be a little bit looser now with COVID-19, but normally they look at things like if a business is trying to increase their sales, they won't allow salespeople to be part of this program because it's counterintuitive to have salespeople working reduced hours if you're trying to increase sales. That's the point of that condition. Employees have to be available for work, and employees are supposed to have an employee who will represent them in the agreement. This does not need to be anything fancy. If Fred and Barney are sharing a job at the quarry, they can flip a coin and decide if Fred or Barney is the employer representative. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. It doesn't have any supervisory responsibilities. It's meant to be a way to streamline communication and to resolve conflict if there is any, that if Fred needs information, he knows he can go to Barney to get it from management if he doesn't feel comfortable doing it himself. That's the point of it. Again, additional changes for COVID-19. The 30-day waiving period is waived. As soon as the application is received, the program can be approved. There's no proof required to demonstrate that you have decreased sales or revenue. The increased 76 weeks, and you don't need to specify any return date. You can just say everything's linked to COVID-19 and that will be approved. You have to submit a recovery plan designed about how you're going to return people. In this case, you might just say, as soon as the COVID-19 restrictions begin to be lifted, we will increase our employees' hours. That would be enough. List the employees who are covered. State the information about their reduced hours and that it corresponds with, how many, just you're doing it to avoid layoffs, essentially is what you're going to say here. And make sure that you name all the participating employees and provide their social insurance numbers. Quickly, the other obligations you have is you have to maintain existing employee benefits plans. So if your employees have health, dental, etc., they have to maintain those programs. If there is a statutory holiday that occurs, you have to pay it. And you can't hire more people and increase your workforce while other people are in a work sharing agreement. And if you had scheduled training, you have to continue with that. Quick overview of how the pay actually works for this. So we've taken you through an example here of an employee who works $40,000, makes $40,000 a year. That's $769 weekly. Under normal EI, if they were laid off, they would get 55% of those earnings, up to a maximum of $423 a week. Under work sharing, they would get $500 for the employer. This is assuming that their work hours have gone down by 35%, plus $148 from EI. That's the $769 of their previous salary minus the hours they actually worked, leaving a delta of $269. That then is multiplied by 55, giving them a total of $648 a week. You can see that's a huge difference from the $423 a week they would get with EI. That's the point of this program. Employers only pay for the hours actually worked. And employees are able to earn the money from the time that they worked, as well as receive EI from the time they didn't work. I hope this has answered some of your questions. We are gladly here to help. If there are any questions, you can reach out. And again, I think anything that any business can do to reduce the number of people out of work at this time is a great service, not only for the business, but also for the country. Thanks so much.